The key concepts I will be looking at in my presentation are power and representation. I will also be including other concepts such as culture, language, MVC and identity. I am a British citizen with a Bosnian heritage. Bosnia has different ethnic groups and is therefore a multicultural country. The three ethnic groups in Bosnia are Bosnians, Serbs and Croats. Each of these ethnicity groups follow different religions. Bosnians are Muslims, Serbs are Orthodox Christians and Croats are Catholic Christians. This can cause conflict between the different ethnic groups, and this is one of the reasons why the war started in 1992. A reason the war started is because of the breakup of Yugoslavia and because Bosnia wanted to become an independent country. However, Serbs didn't want them to. This could lead people to think that I am from a war-torn country and they might feel sorry for me. Culture is a particular way of living according to certain conventions, tastes, beliefs and behaviour. Conventions are rules which aren't written down but are still followed. Bosnian conventions are very different compared to English conventions, and this is known as cultural differences. For example, a Bosnian Muslim convention would be taking your shoes off before entering a house. This is done to show a sign of respect, which is cultural value because it is done when entering a mosque. My parents have brought this convention into English culture, and at home we take our shoes off before going into our house, and we also ask people to take their shoes off. I don't see this as being weird because when I go around to my friend's house, they also take their shoes off, and I think that it is a norm in English culture. At a Bosnian wedding, the bride and groom will drive around in a car followed by the guests, and they will drive to the ceremony. Whilst they are driving, children will stop the cars by holding up ropes, and the bride and groom and guests will throw money and sweets out of their cars. I am happy that this is part of my Bosnian identity because it is different and thoughtful. This shows that the children look up to the bride and groom and that they have power because the children wait outside to see them. I personally would like to have some Bosnian aspects in my wedding because I would like to share Bosnian conventions with English conventions, and I also think that my parents would appreciate it if I had some Bosnian aspects in my wedding because it would show that I haven't forgotten who I am and I haven't forgotten my cultural background. Cultural tastes are what are thought to be good and bad. There is a contrast between Bosnian and English cultural tastes. For example, Bosnian taste in food is very different compared to English taste in food. Bosnian food is mainly meat, potato, pastry dishes and cabbage-based dishes. If an English person was to see Bosnian food, they wouldn't particularly want to try it because it might not look appealing. However, if Bosnians were to see all the fast food restaurants in England filled with burgers and chips, they would think the same as English people would when they see Bosnian food. This is part of representation. I have broken cultural codes for cultural taste because I don't eat much Bosnian food at home, and I eat things such as burgers, chips, pizzas, and when I go out I eat out at places such as Nando's and McDonald's. I suppose this represents me as a typical English teenager and hides my Bosnian identity. Cultural beliefs are what Bosnians believe and what they think is right. For example, Bosnians will believe that the way they are living is the best way and that the way they are living is natural and normal. For example, teenagers in Bosnia don't go to house parties and get drunk and they think that this is a norm. However, as an English teenager, I go to house parties and get drunk because I believe that this is a norm and this is an English cultural convention. I have a desire to conform rather than follow in Bosnian beliefs because I want to fit in. I have broken many cultural beliefs such as not eating Bosnian food all the time and not dressing in traditional Bosnian clothing. There is also a significant difference between NVC in Bosnia and England. NVC is non-verbal communication, which does not involve spoken words or written language. For example, the traditional Bosnian dress is very different compared to English Bosnian dress. Most of the traditional clothing is made by wool, flax, hemp or leather. The clothing is very colourful and is worn during doing the traditional Bosnian dance, which is called folklore, or during Bosnian weddings. Opanci are traditional peasant shoes worn in south-eastern Europe. They are made out of leather and don't have laces and have a various ending of toes. However, I wouldn't wear any of this because I have little affiliation towards Bosnian culture because I have been brought up in England. This is representation because the traditional clothing isn't worn in England. Traditional clothing worn in England will be beef eaters, and beef eaters are known around the world more than Bosnian traditional clothing is, and this means that England has more cultural power. When I'm at home, I feel more Bosnian than I do when I'm in college. This is because when I'm at home, I'm with both of my parents and I speak Bosnian to them, and my mum always plays Bosnian music, and I'm in a Bosnian context. This is part of my primary socialisation, and because my mum and dad both speak Bosnian, I then also have to speak Bosnian back to them. I also text both my mum and dad in Bosnian, and by speaking to them in Bosnian and texting them in Bosnian, this keeps my Bosnian tradition ongoing and alive. However, when I'm out in public, I communicate to my friends in English because I'm in an English context, and I don't speak Bosnian to them if they ask me to because I don't feel comfortable. My persona is that I behave English. However, I have a Bosnian background. This is all about my identity. Speaking in Bosnian is to do with language codes, and this identifies that I am different to everyone else because I know how to speak a different language that isn't well known. The Johari window is a psychological model used for helping us understand identity and the self and the relationships with others. For example, my open self will be that I am English and I don't have a Bosnian accent like my mum and dad do because I was born here. My blind self will be that other people find it interesting that I am Bosnian and that I have a Bosnian background. However, my hidden self will be my Bosnian cultural background because I don't reveal it because I don't think it's that important for people to know. Finally, my unknown self will be becoming more aware of my Bosnian background in the future and being more open about it. In this presentation, I have learned that I am different and unique because I have a different cultural background compared to many other people. I am proud to have a different cultural background, even though I may not show it all the time. I have unconsciously chosen not to follow Bosnian culture at this time in my life, as I don't want to be judged in this context. Who knows about the future? My name is Melissa. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Ciao.